Namaste, everyone. This is Harsha Ramaiya, founder and director of Small Wonders. And as promised, this whole week we are planning to have an expert talk show session. So, yesterday we had Dr. Sunawat on this show, and today we have two esteemed experts here on this show whom I've invited. So, I will not take much time and I will invite them on the screen. As the weather is little up and down today, the winds are really blowing strong. So we are keeping our fingers crossed for the internet connection to keep intact there for a while. So here with me today, I have Miss Payal Maheshwari. Good evening, Payal ma'am. How are you?
I'm fine. Good evening, Harsha. I'm fine.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining in. So, before we start our discussion for
My
today,
pleasure.
I would like to introduce Miss Payal Maheshwari. She is with the Department of Human Development College of Home Science, Nirmala Niketan, affiliated to the University of Mumbai. So, welcome, Payal, to this show. And as
Thank you.
I have named the show that it is an expert talk, there is a parent community who is a regular follower of these shows. So our whole conversation will be parent centric. So my first question to you, Payal, is that since we all are facing this uncertainty, these terrible times, it is very difficult for a parent to keep the child engaged all the time. So can you give us some tips that how we can do this? And before you start, Payal, I can see Dr. Rege, so I will take that honor to
Yeah,
introduce
sure.
her on the screen as well. These are actually the peak hours for internet to flood in, so
Too many
so till
webinars. Yeah.
absolutely, Payal. So till Dr. Rege resumes back with us, Payal, my first question I have already put across. So kindly reply to that question.
Okay. Now, as I'm addressing a community of parents, I would like to be very simplistic in my conversation without bringing too much of a theoretical aspect into the whole thing. Now, to begin with, I would like to ask you, I would like to ask you, Harsha, what do you mean by saying that keeping them engaged all the time?
So
I
very
mean,
nicely, you have asked me. So I will just tell you that what happens, at this point of time, at this juncture now, specifically in June, what has happened, the schools have started sending their sessions virtually. So the children have to do that. They don't have friends to play because yet the parents are not allowing the children to go outside. So till the time the children are awake, most probably say 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., they want some activity or the other. So it becomes very difficult for the parent कि अभी क्या दे, because children generally get bored with one activity very fast. So it does not have a long time to keep them engaged.
see, Harsha, one thing that I will begin with. Now, as you have said, it is COVID, it is the situation is very uncertain. The first thing that I will say is no matter how small the child is, have we explained what the situation is to the child? The first and foremost, okay, in a very childlike language, have we explained it to it what we are going through? Because one of the very important things, though we say that they are not the decision makers, I understand they're not the decision makers, but at the same time they're also in a stage where they like to be a part of a discussion. Okay, they are small but they want to be knowing a lot. So whenever they ask a question, what happens is the parents happen to be more or less saying nahi tumko nahi samajh mein aayega, and something like that. But if we sit and make them understand, see, this is the situation, this is a temporary situation, this will go away. Okay, like saying it, see, when we have exams we only sit and study, we hardly go out and play, we do not have friends to play. Now this is a little longer situation in comparison to that. So making them understand first of all the situation is very important. Okay, now in making them understand the gravity of the situation, and you know uh, sharing some of the things and not making them panic by any chance. Because another thing which is very important is that you don't need to be stressed and having anxiety in order to explain it to the child, because the children pick up with the cues that your behavior is showing rather than what you're talking. So we need to be very careful about that. That's one part of it, because once we make the children aware of the situation, they will be very helpful and cooperative to you. So they will not be pushing you and nagging you always to be doing something. One, okay. Two, the second thing is, I don't understand why we need to keep the child engaged all the time. I am not of that kind. I don't want that. Why can't a child be bored? Have you spent a childhood without being bored?
Correct.
Have you spent a childhood? I have not spent. But then when we were bored, we found ways. Right? So we found ways. We picked up a pen and a paper. We did whatever. Anyways, our times were none of these gadgets. So forget about that. But we still can we allow them to be, why do we get so panic? Oh, my child is not doing anything. Why? Children have a tendency to keep themselves busy in a beautiful manner.
Absolutely.
The only thing is, you keep an eye over it. And the third thing that I will say is, please take out some time from your schedule, whichever the schedule is, and do some activities with them. Generally what happens is, now that the child is at home, we keep telling them something or the other. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. Chalo kuch pad lo, kuch kar lo. Only we have a tendency of doing more. Rather than doing that, can we say that let's play those kind of games which can be played at home. Okay, which can be played. Now, board games are one of the very commonest game. I'll tell you, I'll just share one thing with you. I am all alone here. Okay, my family is in Nainital. The other part of my family is here in Bombay and all that. Now it's actually a situation is the same with us also. We also get bored. But then we have to find ways, and after a point, even we get fed up of finding ways how to do it. And it frustrates you to see on this screen. It frustrates you to hold this mobile. Everything has become too much now. And adults get bored much more easily than the children.
Than the kids. Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you so much, Payal. I will come back to you. Before I come back to you, I want to welcome Dr. Rege. Dr. Rege, thank you so much for sparing your time.
Thank you, Harsha. Sorry for the inconvenience with regard to the internet.
Ma'am, please don't apologize, because this sorry is for all of us and with all of us, because every single day we are fidgeting with this internet. So before you joined in, Dr. Rege, I and Payal were just discussing about children, how to keep them engaged. And as you must have heard, and very beautifully Payal said that, and she stressed upon that sentence, that why you want the children to be engaged all the time. And I think when she stressed upon those lines, I think the entire crux of our discussion has come up, because we as parents today want our children to be engaged. We never want them to get bored. So a lot of things children learn out of boredom also. So Dr. Rege, I just want you to throw some light and push our discussion a little further on, if the children are getting bored, then what is the outcome of that?
Okay. Thank you very much, Harsha. I want parents to really think and go back to their childhood right now, and think of one toy that they remember that they have played with. Just one toy, any one toy that they can remember that they've played with. Or probably, suppose if they never had any toys, okay, or probably they did not have toys. What were those small things that they picked up which became a toy? Okay, which meant that probably, if I have to say, because I can't really see the responses of parents here, but I'm sure some of them, if they had to answer, they would come up with, we played with shells, we played with twigs, we played with stones, we played with dolls with curtain rings and broken bangles and things like that. I think we made our own toys when we were children. That's the whole concern, that maybe today's parents are not allowing children to be constructive in their own way, in their own thinking. And I suppose this is because parents themselves are missing the readiness of saying that my child can be free, my child can do things, my child, even if I am not keeping him or her engaged, my child will keep him or himself or herself engaged because there are different resources around me. So making these things available to the child is one thing. The child trying to figure out and get things for himself and do it. Simple things like, even for that matter, the child may just see his mom nowadays, mopping and cleaning. And the child may just take a small little napkin and sit with a mug of water and squeeze that cloth is in itself a play. So it all depend on whether we are looking at it. Only thing is what parents need to look at is that every play that the child is doing in this manner is a learning for himself, because when he is doing something like a dry napkin which he is putting into the mug and removing it, it is becoming wet. You don't need to show him or teach him this concept of dry and wet, or probably squeezing means water goes off, there is something which absorbs. This is all a learning which is happening, which parents have to be open to. So yes, readiness is one important thing that I will keep in mind. Second important thing that I feel is keeping the children engaged with different kind of communication. Here communication is not at all in context of academic context, but it's a process based thing. I will share one or two examples with the parents. Maybe parents can take it from there, and maybe tomorrow they may be able to share it on your Small Wonders group, saying that something like, for example, if we say, and I'm using this example from our president, Dr. Swati Popatwat's session, that if clouds had strings, what would happen? What would you do? And I'm sure the kind of example, the kind of responses that the parents would, the child would give is, I will pull it down, I will keep it in the cupboard, I will store it, I will put it in my art book, those kind of things. And then the parents can go ahead and ask one more question, that if suppose you are pulling these strings of clouds, and what happens to the birds, what happens to the aeroplanes, what happens to the rain? And that's where we are probably asking the children to be little more imaginative, little more aware about the environment, aware about the social surrounding and things like that. It could be as simple as that. It could be, another example could be that if the entire city was made of chocolates, what would you do? And the child would say, oh, I would love to eat it. And if everybody would eat chocolates, what would happen to your teeth? What happens to your stomach? What happens to your health? And that's where you can have conversation, communication with children. This is going to be the learning probably which parents can have. Yes, you need to give a little time out of your schedule, out of your entire day schedule to the parents for, kind of blending with the child, or probably understanding a child little more. Yes, the way parents are today frustrated with the schedule, of being in the four walls, children are equally, they have much more higher energy level today, but they are within the four walls. So we have to consider these small things when we are considering context with regard to the children and parents.
Absolutely, Dr. Rege. Very nicely you summed everything which we earlier discussed with Payal. So the first important thing that you mentioned is about the toys, because I completely agree that how much ever fancy toys or how much ever branded toys we bring in, children love to play with the utensils, with the twigs, with the shells, and they can spend hours on playing with this, So I think
and Harsha, very importantly, parents will not say ये टूट जाएगा, इसको ऐसे मत use करो, ये टूट जाएगा, because it can be used in any way and will still survive.
Exactly. So I think that if these kind of opportunities or these kind of resources are made available to the children, I think that what we are talking about, engaging the children, will not at all be a question now. So I'll come back to Payal also. And second important thing before I go to Payal, Dr. Rege, you mentioned about the communication. I really
Yeah.
liked the way you explained the entire thing, because also in this, no particular resources are required. जो भी आप अगर suppose you're standing in a balcony and you're looking at a tree or looking at a cloud or sun, in that matter, you can start a conversation, and it helps
Very
building
much.
the imaginative skills of the child. So I think much more, both of you had same
Very
lines
much.
to say that yes, little time is required to invest. So I think we have to underline that if we want some productivity out of the child, we have to invest time in that. Thank you, Dr.
Actually,
Rege.
I'll add
Yes.
one point here, but Dr. Ege has already said that a beautiful point is that engage them with the activities that you are doing.
Okay.
They love cooking, they love cleaning, they love doing all this. And in the process, I will say what Dr. Ege has said about communication. Even when you start, okay, this is done like this is done like that, this is what it is, you are building up their vocabulary.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is, you don't need to do anything. They just get into, and that becomes, see, it's a very beautiful thing. It will become their routine. Okay, tomorrow morning I'll get up, I'm going to help mama in this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And that makes them even, and they feel good about it, because they are also a part of the total system which is
Correct.
functioning in a particular manner.
Correct.
And it gives them a very good feeling, because they,
Absolutely.
we all will agree that when we are small children, we want to grow up.
And when we
And
grow
we
up,
want
we
to
again want to become small. Absolutely. I agree.
Absolutely. And today, if you ask me, I want to go back there, because
Absolutely.
the reality is very different than what we. So for them, it is beautiful.
Okay. So my second question is very interconnected to what we talked. Dr. Rege, it's about the tantrums, because now kids have really lost on patience, because it's more than 2 months they have been locked in the house. So there are a lot of parents who are coming in and they're asking कि बच्चे बहुत परेशान करते हैं, वो थक गए हैं, and lot of tantrums are there. So can you just suggest that how parents can deal with those tantrums? Because now is the scenario that even the moms have lost on patience. So at times now they have started being rude with the children, and sometimes they have been threatening them, or at times they are using their hands on them. So can you just brief about the tantrums?
I'm
2-3
sorry,
things
I
that
think the other question.
Payal,
2-3 things.
It's okay. Let us talk.
Okay, so 2-3 things that I would like to say, how and what you can do to help the children avoid, or probably work on the tantrums that they throw. One thing that I would say is that yes, we have to understand that parents themselves and families rather are grappling with this situation of COVID. I mean, every day is a new day. Every day is a new experience. There is a lot of unlearning and learning which is happening. So it's bound to happen that the parents are finding it difficult to, cope up with everything. And over and above, children being a part of the house is kind of creating a little, because this is not a regular pattern of a home where 24/7 you are with them. However, what is important is that yes, we can't consider it as an equity, which means that all families are having the same resources. We can't go by that. We can't say all families are uniform in kind of availability and the composition and the proportion and things like that. So yes, I would suggest one very, and why that is important, first of all, for parents to understand as to why the child is throwing temper tantrums. One of the reason probably is that the child is not able to use his energy, which the child is filled with, into anything very constructive. So every time it is like, ये मत करो, वहां पे मोबाइल को हाथ मत लगाओ, वहां पे मेरा कॉल चल रहा है, ये लैपटॉप को हाथ मत लगाओ, ये नहीं, टीवी ऑन मत करो, मेरा मीटिंग चल रहा है. There is a lot of no from every end that the child is getting. So obviously the child is not able to get out of of this entire situation to figure out, what do I do? Tell me, what is it that I'm supposed to do? So that's where I would suggest that there are a few methods that I would share with parents, which they can use in the house. Right now, with the lockdown period, obviously you're not going to get certain material from the shops, but what you can prepare it at home is what I'm helping parents to work out with. See, basically the child has to remove his pent up emotions and this frustration, because of which the temper tantrums that the child throws. Dough is a very good method. Now this dough could be as simple as the atta in the house. You can give that child to make different things. You can sit with the child and make different things, give different shapes to it. Okay, instead of using clay. If you have clay, nothing like it. But if you don't have clay, this is one method. The second thing is music. Very often children love to dance and use their energy level in music, and here you can give simple props. Those props could be as simple as your jhadu and jisse kachra uthate hain, okay, that to the child so you can give that to the child. You can give simple empty buckets and mugs to the child. Make simple musical instruments at home from the used dabbas or containers, or even soap boxes and things like that. These are the things, when you're making the constructive thing and you are helping the child use them, that's when the child starts feeling, मुझे कुछ काम दिया है, हर चीज को मुझे ना नहीं बोला है. This is how you're going to keep the child little more busy. And that's where so when I'm saying music, I'm just giving you a few examples. Maybe you can have a small little family jam session at home. Okay, when I'm saying jam session means playing music and let the child jump, climb, dance, do whatever. Okay, you are using that energy, and let it be a 10-minute slot in the whole day, but keep it so that the child is, and the child should look forward to. It could be his playlist that you are using, which he likes, the songs that he likes. And nowadays, anyways, mobile is being used 24/7. You can download some songs, or you can directly play it as the song is going on. So have his own playlist. You can even have something like a karaoke, which is again his liked poems, his liked songs can be sung by him. Even if the words are not fine, it's okay, but use them, implement them. And also another important way of helping the child with temper tantrums is that use artwork with music. So you play some music and have the artwork on, so that's going to help the children. And as I said, one more thing was making musical instruments from absolutely low cost stuff which is available in your house, in and around your house. So those things can be helpful. They can be music shakers, they could be sound shakers. Those kind of things are interesting for the child. And give him simple things which you want. Maybe today in the afternoon you want say 4 onions to be peeled. Give it to the child, ask him, try peeling it and give it to me. Mama wants a little help. Involve the child in those kind of activities where the child feels, okay, I have been given some task to do. So that is important. The child needs to feel that I am involved, rather than everything as no and no at every end.
Wonderful put together, Dr. Rege. The 3 things that important, I think the parents should note, is that use of energy of the child. So child's energy should be channelized. I think for handling the tantrums, I think this is the first thing. Second, if you are saying a no, you have to give a way out so that the child understands. And third important thing that you mentioned about the music and movements and making the music instruments with low cost or almost nothing, and just the resources that are available around in the house. So I think if these things put together, I think we can handle the tantrums very nicely. And the first and important thing is that if the energy is channelized, I think half the work is done.
Absolutely.
So I will come back to Payal. Payal, when I was talking to Dr. Rege, there are specific concerns, when I talk about tantrums. Specifically is the mobile tantrum, because at this point of time, parents are using mobiles as babysitters or to keep the children calm. So these are the factors wherein they have given the mobiles to the children. And now when they want to take back the mobile, the tantrums start. And the effect of that tantrum is that loud that the child at times cries his lungs out, rolls down on the floor, and starts hitting the wall, starts jumping slapping, start sometimes hitting the parents as well. So can you just help us with some guide that how we can handle these tantrums?
I'll ask you, Harsha, one. You actually began the answer also when you said that parents use it as a babysitter. So who is responsible for the tantrum?
Absolutely the parents.
Absolutely the parents, right? So I don't think so you need to do anything with the child. You need to do with the parents.
Absolutely.
See, we want our life to be easy in every way, right? So when we wanted the mobile to be a babysitter, please be a babysitter. So please have it. Now we want the mobile because we want it. We are free. We want it. So please take it away. Now, see, there are certain things. I know the child is small. Okay. Now, one thing that we should, as parents, we should remember, it's the way you set goals for the child is going to follow them. Okay. And you don't need to say, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. This is not a classroom. You are living in a house. So you only need to say it in a very casual. You need to only make them understand that this is the protocol. Now, one thing, what I'll say is, if I take away the mobile, I should also be giving you the mobile at a point. So if I say, see, right now you have used the mobile for so many things. For you, there is 1 hour of mobile during the day because you're not working, you're only playing. Okay. So then a child can understand that, okay, if there is work, so we need to make them understand. I said that in the first question also, that it is very important. They have super brains. Developing, we are helping them to develop it. So the more beautifully, democratically you will help them to develop, it's really going to bloom. And they'll learn it very automatically. We should also remember they imitate us. They follow us. Okay. So what are you doing? If you are free, whenever you are free, you pick up a mobile and sit. How do you expect the child not to do it? So are you following, as a parent, what protocols are you following that you expect your child to follow? So one thing that I want to say is parents are completely responsible for the tantrums. Secondly, you said when you take away the mobile, they cry, they do this, they do that. First of all, parents have done that because they allowed it to happen, right? Because when they did that earlier, what did the parent do? Give the mobile. Could they have just allowed the child to cry? What is so wrong about it? Let the lungs get. Right now, we are doing lungs exercise anyways. So let it be. The child should get this feel, my bad behavior not tolerated no matter what. So parents don't want to be, I think the whole definition of good parenting is become, I'll tell you what it has become. Give everything to the child and make everything available for the child is equal to good parenting, best parenting. The moment any parent makes the child cry, किस तरीके के parents हैं, देखो बच्चे रो रहे हैं. Let's not interfere with anybody's parenting. They know well how the whole communication between the two are there. So let's not get into all that. And if the parent can really handle their child, I mean, if they can take care of them, and there are beautiful ways, I'm telling you, a child will not throw a tantrum if you really understand the child, rather than only thinking, oh, I have trouble, I am facing problem, I am caught in this house, I am like this, I am like this. Let's look at it from a very child's perspective also. So if I'm saying, see, listen, right now I need a mobile, but then I also give her a chance to say that, okay, let's play together. Come on, let's do something. Okay, you bring your tab, I'll take my mobile, let's play a game here. So let's all 3 of us, let's all 4 of us, let's play together. Nowadays, beautiful thing is there, we can connect with each other. I connect with my family on a Ludo game across. Okay. Now it's such a beautiful thing. I need only one gadget. Everybody is sitting and playing Ludo. All. One from Bombay, one from Bhubaneswar, another one from Nainital. We are playing Ludo and we enjoy it to the core. That with the children also. I mean, So there needs to be some kind of a, rather than, as Dr. Rege very beautifully put it, because there are so many no's, I am bound to throw tantrum. If I was in a child's place, I would have also thrown. I mean, what do I do then if everything is no to me? Even I would have done the same. So if there are do's, if there is something that I look forward for doing, then why not? I'm also going to be listening. And let's have this kind of a, system where I say that, okay, this is your time, this is my time. I'll do what you say, but then you do what I say. Beautiful. They have a fantastic way of being cooperative to you. I can say that if you work, if you are very, tactful with children, you really can do a very good job. You really don't need anything other than that. Good communication, some stories, some very lovely stories that you can just speak, and these children see how they get engrossed in it, and how, or maybe why not sit and watch some TV program which is beautiful, wonderful. Like these days, so many things are coming on Doordarshan. All that purane wale cheezein are coming.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
And watching Mahabharat with children and explaining it to them what's happening.
Excellent, excellent. While you put it very nicely, and one line I will pick up from what you said is that parents are responsible for these tantrums. So I will come to Dr. Rege. Dr. Rege, how do you find?
Before we go to the next point, just two more things which I will add what Payal has already shared. See, now that we've given the mobile phones to the children, and now that it has become a pattern, it has become a behavior of the children, we can't really undo or help them unlearn it immediately. So probably two things that I would want to share with the parents. One is have a little more supervised mobile viewing as to what the child is watching. What is it that the child is doing exactly on the phone? And how do you channelize it to more constructive manner? Because nowadays we are also having blended teaching, which is happening by most of the preschools and schools also. While we are having blended teaching, we are asking the children to use the mobile and see it on the mobile. And the minute the child wants to do something by himself, then we are snatching it away. So that's not fair for the child. So when you are doing this kind of a mobile, means taking away the mobile or giving the mobile to the child, have a supervised, what is he watching, what is he saying. So maybe after he finishes watching that particular episode, ask the child to answer some questions that have happened. What happened in that thing that you saw? What did you see? Okay, let the child say, I saw 5 cars. What were the colors of the cars? What were the cars doing? Those kind of questions. So the child is also sure that, okay, what I watched, mommy, daddy are aware of it. That's one thing.
Correct.
And two is also, before giving the mobile to the child, put a timer, put an alarm, and tell the child, you are going to get the mobile for only 20 minutes. And you put an alarm of 20 minutes, the alarm is going to go at the right time, at 20 minutes. So then you say, now the alarm has gone, your time is up, I'm taking away the mobile. So prepare him 5 minutes before that. Now 5 more minutes, and then the alarm will go, I'm going to take. So it's a reassurance to the child that, okay, I've given you the mobile, it is there with you for 20 minutes. You have seen everything, whatever you wanted to, and now I'm going to take it away. So that's where you are also preparing the child, which is probably the mistakes. I would not say mistakes, but this is what the trend which is there as to parents giving mobile to the child so that the child is busy and parent is available to do whatever. It can be monitored well for 20 minutes, 15 minutes. So the parent also has those 20 minutes to finish off their jobs and come back and take away the mobile, So there's some kind of a monitoring which is there.
But wonderful tip, Dr. Rege, that you have given. I think if we set alarms on the mobile, automatically, if you condition the child, it's going to, lessen the fight between the mother and the children, because they automatically now understand that hamara time up ho gaya and we have to submit the mobile. So this is a wonderful tip. And from what Payal said, the entire crux of what she said was that parents are responsible. And I completely agree to that, that when you are raising children, I think it's the moral responsibility of the parents to take responsibility for everything, for if good is happening or for anything bad is happening. So Dr. Rege, your views on this statement, that how far do you feel that parents are responsible for everything?
As I would say that parenting style is different in every home. And sometimes in some homes, it's not only parents who are parenting the child, it probably could be grandparents also who are doing it. They will do it with a lot of love and affection, and they will allow a lot of things to happen which parents may restrict. So it's going to be very different in every family in terms of the disciplinary methods, mannerisms, what are the do's and don'ts. Maybe some things are do's for parents, some things are don'ts for grandparents, and the child is very smart to pick up whatever he wants or she wants. The child is very sharp to know, if I want this, I will go to my dadi because I know dadi is not going to say a no. If I want this, I will go to my mama because mama is not going to say a no. So these are the things which the child picks up. So there has to be some kind of a consensus in the disciplinary method that we are talking about, whether it is between parents or grandparents, and it has to be mutually discussed, because ultimately the benefit is for the child, not for the adults, because adults have grown with whatever odds that they have grown with. But if you want a common parenting style to be maintained or managed, it is important. And this is not only between the grandparents and parents, it could be even between the father and mother.
Mother,
So very
absolutely.
often, immediately do not give an answer to the child. You say, okay, let me think about it. I will talk to your daddy and then come back. Or let me talk to your mama and then I'll turn around and tell you what an answer is. So don't give an immediate answer, because that will give an idea that, okay, I went and I asked mommy, she said no. I went and asked daddy, he said yes. And then I will go back and say, mama, but daddy has said yes. Why you are saying a no? It will become a problem. So avoid these kind of differences when we are disciplining a child in any form. It could be use of mobile, it could be watching television, it could be sitting idly, doing your work, homework, not doing your homework. It could be anything under the sky. Disciplining is something that you need to have, which is at least, or you have a very clear indicator that your mother will take a decision, whatever decision she takes, don't come and ask me. So that could be one thing, because then the child knows that ultimately, until unless I get a yes from so and so, I'm not going to get the get away from with it. So probably these are some tips. Maybe if I can think of any more, I will add to it. But as of now, these are important points from my end.
Wonderful. And Dr. Rege, you very well addressed that, yes, at times it's not only the grandparents and the parents who have a difference of opinion. It is between both the parents also. So the child has to understand, if I go to my mom or my dad, I'm going to get a same reply. And it will go a longer way, because as you said, children are very smart. They very well know कि अपना काम किसके और कहाँ से पूरा करना है. So they're very smart in that matter. So
But
yes.
one more thing that I want to add here is that give a rationale, give a reason to the child why you are saying a no. Just don't say no because I don't want you to do it. No, there has to be a reason. Even we as an adult, when we get an answer as no, we ask, why is it that I am not allowed to do something like this? The child needs to know. And once the child knows the reason, then probably it will be more a democratic kind of a disciplining, rather than, an authoritarian or a very strict kind of a discipline.
Perfect. I think if
And
there is a reason,
one more
yes.
point that I would add to that is, as I said earlier, it is very important for parents to practice what they are preaching. It is very important for all of them. I mean, I cannot be saying don't do this when I continue to keep doing that, because children will do what they are seeing. Don't expect them to do what you are telling them not to. And one day they are going to revert back to you, and they do. And say, but
They
you do it.
I completely agree, Payal. I completely agree to this statement that yes,
And
children
you
do come
give
back
an
to us and
answer.
say,
Yeah,
for example,
and then
television, if we are watching and if we restrict them from watching the television, they'll come back to us and they'll back answer us, Mama, aap to dekh rahe ho, humko na bol rahe ho. So very rightly said that you have to
then you will
practice.
come up with a very fantastic answer. नहीं, हम बड़े हैं, आप छोटे हो. Well, that's not an answer. I mean, हम छोटे हम थोड़ी हैं, हमारी मर्जी से छोटे थोड़ी हैं. आप अपनी मर्जी से बड़े थोड़ी हैं. I mean, that's not an answer. So we need to be very clear about that, what we want our children to learn. And see, when we have taken this being a parent, I think sacrifices are needed.
Yes.
We have to give up a lot in order to help our child grow in a healthy manner. So
Wonderful.
we will have to give up our habits in order to make a child learn healthy habits. 100%.
Very well said. So before we come to
Harsha, one more point that comes to my mind, especially after having heard Dr. Samir Dalwai, who's the pediatrist and the National Child Development Center owner, he mentioned about 4 P's, and I would want to share those 4 P's with the parents here. The first P is pattern. So develop a pattern in your home of doing certain things. So pattern is repetition, doing the same thing, like getting up in the morning, brushing your teeth. These are patterns which are a part of the routine. So develop a pattern. Second is predictability. So the child is also ready and ready for that predictability as to, okay, after brushing my teeth, I'm going to go and have my breakfast, that kind of a thing. So there's a predictability in the whole day's schedule. Third is positivity. Slowly and steadily, you will find that the child is more positive, taking these changes of pattern and the predictability into a more positive manner. And finally, it will lead to something called as productivity, which means that is what we want. The process should be finally having some product. Ultimately, we are reaching out to having some kind of good qualities that are being inculcated in the child. So these 4 P's are very important. I'm repeating them: pattern, predictability, positivity, and productivity.
Wonderful.
So I think that will help.
Thank you, Dr. Rege. Thank you, Dr. Rege, for bringing these P's. I think because if we understand each and every P, the whole discussion that we did sums up in these 4 P's. So thank you, Dr. Rege. We are running short of a little time, so we have to wrap it fast. So I will request Payal for her closing statements to our audience, to our parent community. Payal, any closing comments from your side?
I will only say, don't be a super parent. Be a parent. We all commit mistakes. It's nice to commit mistakes. Tell the children, I have also committed a mistake, so that they feel very happy, healthy. If they have committed a mistake, okay, it's going to be embraced as adults also do it. I can also do it. So I will say, let's not become a super mom. Let's not become a super father. Let's be father and mother and do our best. It's okay to be bored. It's okay to be, I'll just share one simple example. I was taking a workshop with some teachers, and we are super moms. I was just giving them an example, and I just said that, we feel very great. I know when my child gets hungry. I know when my child needs whatever. I know this, then that. I said, the point is, the child has not understood. Whenever child feels hungry, something happens in my stomach, I start crying. I start throwing tantrum. But I don't know why I'm doing it. But how did the child will understand that I am hungry? That is the reason I'm getting irritated. Because my mother never let me feel hungry and know the consequence. So let the child feel hungry. He will also communicate. I am hungry. I need something to eat. I also need to feel what hunger feels like. So let's not be super mom. Before the child asks, we are there to serve. With that, and it's okay if we are not able to do all that in such a meticulous manner. It's okay. I think we all can ease out a little and live a life more comfortably and ease. See, everything is going to be beautiful. So that's
very rightly said, Payal. I think I also have a phrase, for my parenting style, that there is no such thing as perfect parenting. So we should not try and hunt to reach to that target, because I don't think there is any perfect parent who exists. So I think if we try and understand, and very rightly you said, it's okay. It's okay to be okay, and it's okay to accept okays. So I think if these two things we fit in our mind, the journey of parenting is going to become very, very easeful. Thank you so much.
One point I'll add, that when you say perfect parenting, you already have put in a kind of a clause of there is going to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G to make this as perfect. So why everything has to be so organized always? When am I going to live an unorganized life, a free life? So I need to live that. This is my house. I can live that freely.
Absolutely,
So that is what I really feel, the parent should ease out a little.
Thank you so much, Payal, for such beautiful comments. I will come to Dr. Rege for her closing comments, which should be, like what I'm looking forward exactly, Dr. Rege. Whatever you put beautifully, I think parents are going to take it also. We are looking for some comments wherein the parents' emotions are touched, because at this point of time, moms are also low on letting out their emotions, because now they don't have anyone to vent out. So if you can just add little in your speech for that, it will be very helpful.
Okay, so the first thing that I would want to share is that I started my statement with this, saying that today's parents are in a very uncertain situation. Every day is a learning situation, but important is whether in whatever situation you are really thriving very well right now. If the fact that you are surviving with so much of cautious efforts that you're taking of cleaning, mopping, doing everything, working from home, working at home, all kinds of things. It's important that few things that I want to keep in mind, which as mothers, as parents, as fathers, when you had your baby, when you thought of getting this baby into your life, in your family, the aim was that I want to give the best to my child. My child should be getting everything, and at the same time I want the child to be growing with his own individuality. So very important that I feel is, do not compare your child with anybody. You may have 10 parents that you're talking with, and there may be 5 parents who would be saying, oh, my child doesn't do this, he gives it away. That's fine. But do not compare your child with anybody. That's very, very important. Communicate to your child, because your child is watching everything on the television, hearing, listening, everything around, which is not very positive in today's time. If it is even news, or even if the parents are conversing or whatever, the uncertainty that you have, the child also has the same kind of uncertainty. He's also missing his friends, he's also missing his teachers, he's also missing his school, he's also missing his daily routine. So keep that in mind, communicate with the child. It's important for that child also to be sharing with you. Third important thing I would say is, enhance your parenting skills, in terms of, yes, certain things that we have had as a pattern of our living may have to be changed today. And very important is, have a safeguarding readiness. Readiness is, I am prepared now to go out. If you are not prepared, make it very clear that I am not prepared, and slowly and steadily safeguard yourself so that you are getting ready to go out, because today or tomorrow, whenever the time comes, you will have to be going out, and that insecurity that you are going to have, you are going to take that insecurity with you. See that you have all kinds of what we call it as testing, tracing, isolation and monitoring, everything being done well before you are ready for moving out. And lastly, I want to say, do not focus on academic achievement. Please focus on the safety and well-being of the child. That's most important, and that will only happen if you are yourself feeling safe and you yourself are feeling very positive about yourself. Thank you very much, Harsha. I hope
Thank you so much, Dr. Rege. And the last line that you mentioned, that keeping in mind the safety and the well-being, I think we have to keep everything aside at this point of time, because the thing that we are existing is very important at this point of time. So we have to thank God, and we have to keep in mind that safety and well-being has to be on the top priority list. So thank you so much, both the experts, Ms. Payal Maheshwari and Dr. Rege, for being on this show and sharing the knowledge and insights with our parents. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harsha, for having me on the show. It was really wonderful talking to you, though I could not interact with the parents live, but it was fantastic to be just talking it out, because it's something that we I think both of us are pretty close to our heart kind of thing when it comes to parenting and all these kind of things. So thank you so much for giving this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Payal. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Rege.
Thank you, Harsha. Thank you, Harsha.